course seems to have gone to the dogs, quite literally. Politics went into overdrive when Congress MP Renuka Chowdhury strolled into Parliament with a canine on Monday. The dog barely had time to sniff the security barricades before being sent back. But the real bite came after the bark, when Renuka declared that her dog does not bite, but the ones sitting inside Parliament do.
जानवर को पसंद नहीं करते है ना सरकार. गूंगा जानवर गाड़ी में चले गए तो इनको क्या तकलीफ है? काटने वाला कुत्ता दिखा क्या? इतनी सी तो है. काटने वाले और है पार्लियामेंट में, कुत्ते नहीं.
And if that jab wasn't enough to set tails wagging, Renuka Chowdhury doubled down today by literally barking at reporters. A bhav that echoed louder than half the speeches in the House.
संसद में प्रिविलेज मोशन लाने की तैयारी कर रही है बीजेपी, क्या कहेंगे आप? क्या
और क्या बोले?
She insists that she has done nothing wrong and that she won't be scared of the warnings or even a privilege motion.
संसद में प्रिविलेज मोशन लाने की तैयारी कर रही है बीजेपी, क्या कहेंगे आप? क्या
और क्या बोले?
संसद में प्रिविलेज मोशन लाने की तैयारी कर रही है बीजेपी, क्या कहेंगे आप? क्या
और क्या बोले?
Renuka Chowdhury is also being backed by Rahul Gandhi, who says the BJP is barking up the wrong tree.
Dog is the main topic today, I believe. यहाँ आया था क्या?
हाँ सर, यही है.
Allowed नहीं है क्या?
ऐसा कोई रूल बुक में नहीं है, but
Pet allowed नहीं है. Pet allowed नहीं है. Pet not allowed. Well, I mean, I guess these are the things that India is discussing these days.
Other opposition MPs are also backing her.
उन्होंने किसी का नाम नहीं लिया, उन्होंने तो बेजुबान जानवर की बारे में बात की, इसके अलावा तो कुछ नहीं कहा.
I never expected such comments from her, but if she has said that, I definitely condemn it.
But the BJP is growling back. The party says that her comments have insulted MPs and is demanding strict action against her.
देश की पूरी संसद को के सांसदों को काटने वाला कहना और काटने का संदर्भ कुत्ते के साथ जोड़कर कहना, यह दर्शाता है कि पूरी संसद की गरिमा को ध्वस्त करना कांग्रेस का एक विधिवत सुविचारित अभियान हो गया है.
ये विपक्ष चर्चा किस चीज की करता है? एक महिला कांग्रेस सांसद तो कुत्ते को लेकर गाड़ी में चली आई.
And so, what began with a harmless canine cameo has snowballed into a full-fledged dog fight, with leaders snapping and snarling at each other. The dog made a momentary appearance, but the bickering it unleashed is likely to continue for a while. Bureau Report, India Today.
Joining me on the show tonight, Salman Soz, national spokesperson of the Congress Party. We have Tuhin Sinha representing the BJP. Nirja Chowdhury, senior journalist, will be joining me shortly. Salman Soz, does the Congress view that Renuka Chowdhury's dog entry and the subsequent response and biting MP's comment as upholding or eroding the dignity of Parliament?
Well, before I get into what the Congress party has to say, I thought your viewers might be interested to know that a BJP MP, Poonam Mahajan, in 2013, right here, I hope your viewers can see, is very nicely, I might say, very nicely. I'm a dog lover myself. I'm a dog dad. She was taking care of a stray animal inside Parliament, a stray dog. And it was good to see, by the way, when I was doing some research for the show. It was good to see. Renuka ji witnessed an accident. And close to the accident site, she saw a stray dog walking. She was concerned for that dog and put him in his car. And that gesture of humanity has become a serious problem for the BJP. For the BJP, it is not a serious problem that the Indian rupee has touched 90 rupees to the dollar. For the BJP, it is not a serious problem that tens of billions of dollars have left the country because foreign investors are pulling their money. For the BJP, it is not a problem that because of the depreciation of the Indian rupee, fuel, fertilizer, electronics, these prices are going to be higher for the Indian consumer.
Concerns, Salman,
No. For them,
the concerns with regards to rupee is also a valid one. Nirja Chowdhury, who has tracked India's parliamentary democracy for years, will be joining me as well any moment now. But Tuhin, coming to what is being said by the Congress party, why does the BJP believe that Renuka Chowdhury's actions and remarks warrant a privilege motion to protect parliamentary protocol and respect? It could very well be seen as you are indulging in diversionary tactic, running away from important debates, as Salman is highlighting.
Good evening, Marya. The willful, compulsive protests inside the parliament to this new canine obsession, the Congress party, seems to be having a field day. But point is, the BJP, the Congress party is nowhere in any mood to discuss serious issues. There are 13 bills pending debate. All of these 13 bills are very crucial from the point of view of the economic agenda of the country. Does Salman Soz not realize the importance of the atomic energy bill, which would bring the private sector into a nuclear energy production? Does he not realize the importance of Jan Vishwas bill? When I first saw Renuka ji barking, I actually thought it was an AI video. But I watched it 2 or 3 times to convince myself that it was not an AI video. I think the Congress party, is so despondent today after 95 defeats and with no sign of revival that, they must seriously take care of their mental health. Because if they don't, this is not the way to protest. If you have serious issues, bring it up. We are open to discussion. Next Monday for one whole day, there is a discussion on Vande Mataram, and the following day, electoral reforms are being decided. We are open to discussing, SIR, all the issues that they bring forth. But over the last 3 or 4 years, it actually started in 2019 after the second defeat of Congress party. They realized that they would not be able to bounce back, and hence, the sense of entitlement that they have, the perverse sense of entitlement, has led them to disrupt parliament time and again. Between 2014 to 19, the productivity of Lok Sabha stood at a good 83-84%. It came down to 50% between 2019 to 2024 after Congress realized it won't get back to par, and now it's somewhere around 40%. I think the Congress party has a lot to introspect over here.
Talking about this action, Salman, how does the Congress then justify Renuka Chowdhury's defiance? Because it is about security and decorum, and with these concerns seem to be valid.
Look, when the parliament session was announced, Tuhin is right. 13 bills, 15 days, 13 bills. 10 of the bills have not gone to the standing committee of parliament, the respective standing committees. That shows you the seriousness of the BJP when it comes to parliamentary procedures. As far as Renuka ji is concerned, she is purely defending the attacks from the BJP on her. If the BJP is really serious about parliamentary work, let's discuss things in parliament. Let's debate those things. Why are we discussing stray dogs? If you have such a problem with stray dogs inside parliament, you should think about people suffering because of stray dogs outside parliament. Why doesn't the BJP do more about serious stray dog issues outside parliament? They're very concerned when it comes to them. Nobody should come into parliament, even though I've just shown you a photograph of a BJP MP with a stray dog inside parliament. But BJP had no problem at that time. They have a problem at this time. Why? Because they want to make an issue out of a non-issue. Because there are serious issues that they would rather not talk about. They would rather not tell you, Marya, that because the Indian rupee has depreciated so much despite RBI action, RBI has been spending billions of dollars to prop up the rupee. And despite that, the rupee has been falling. The Indian rupee has become the worst performing currency in Asia in 2025. But they don't want you to talk about that because they know that is going into the direction of inflation in those commodities that have a direct impact on your pockets. They don't want to talk about those things.
Okay.
They'll talk about
Okay, will you respond that?
about these things.
Will you respond to that, please, quickly? Tuhin Sinha?
An intelligent person like Salman would realize that we don't have a problem with the dog. The entire issue emanates when, she dramatizes the whole situation. It's journalists asking her questions. Have we asked her questions? When journalists go to her to ask questions and she makes all kinds of funny, bizarre, canine sounds, obviously, it's an insult to the parliament. And then look at the language, look at the way she's saying that those sitting inside bite. Obviously, she's referring to even those Congress members who tend to not participate in disruptive activities. Rahul Gandhi repeated that. Those inside are more dangerous or whatever. So please have respect for your fellow, parliamentarians. We have seen what Rahul Gandhi was doing during the Rafale debate. He was throwing paper planes. He was winking. This is the level of seriousness you bring under Rahul Gandhi. And then you complain that, we don't involve you in discussions. Marya, you would realize this is the first time Parliament has operated till 1:30 in the night discussing Article 370, and then during the WAF discussion, the discussion went on till 2 a.m. and then the Manipur bill was discussed till 4 a.m. Rahul Gandhi was missing the entirety.
Neerja Chowdhury, you have tracked Parliament and parliamentary proceedings for decades now. How do you look at Renuka Chowdhury's comments? How does it really impact public perception of parliamentary decorum, I would ask?
Look, all the comments that have been made avoidable completely. And I was thinking, Marya, what really ails our parliament today, and I would put the lack of civility in our public discourse and in parliament on top of the list. One opened the newspaper this morning and read about both sides, opposition and the ruling side, having come to an understanding on discussing SIR and Vande Mataram. Things had been worked out. 8th and 9th, the discussions would be held. And you felt, my goodness, at the end of the day, despite the differences, despite the viciousness, they do manage to make things work. And within hours, something else had happened. So I would say, it's no point saying, okay, Renuka Chowdhury said this, Ragini Nayak did that, completely avoidable things. And others have retaliated this evening about Sonia Gandhi and so on. This is not the way we would like our parliament to function in our parliamentary democracy, about which we are proud for all its fault lines. And I wish, I don't know what the answer is. We keep lamenting, we keep bemoaning this in session after session. What is the answer, Marya? Everybody can say, but this happened a year ago. How many years ago? I am proud that the chai wala in our country makes it to the pinnacle of power. I'm proud that Gwala's family, Lalu Yadav, ruled in Bihar for 15 years. That our democracy can throw up people who rise from the ground. We are proud of it. But it is the manner in which it is being projected. And equally, things now being said about Sonia Gandhi on national television. Completely, as I said, I wish we go beyond it somehow. Can the Prime Minister, can the leader of the opposition please sit down, talk it out, do whatever has to be done. There is enormous bitterness between the two sides, which is not limited to opposing ideology or opposing points of view.
But Neerja, one may also say that, yes, there are disagreements, but the fact that today both the sides, the Treasury benches and the opposition, decided that there will be points of convergences, that there will be discussion on electoral reforms, that there will be discussion on issues that the opposition thinks must take center stage. Would you then say that, points of confrontation are perhaps getting lesser by the day?
At one level, yes, as I said, Marya, when we started the day today, for instance, yes, that they had found a way. If it was not to be specifically SIR, it would come under the theme of electoral reforms. But the issue that's agitating the opposition would be discussed. And it must be discussed in Parliament. Yes, you thought there was greater maturity, manifesting itself. But, I wonder, is it because both sides at the end of the day do not want a discussion in Parliament on certain issues? Do they resort to this kind of stalling deliberately? You just wonder. But certainly we the people of India, you and I and all those sitting out there, we deserve better from our government and our opposition. And we want our Parliament to function effectively. How you make it work, please work out.
Okay, how will you make it work? The question is that now, Tuhin Sinha. This controversy may well be a distraction from issues like pollution, but at the same time, it is also showcasing Salman Soz declining decorum in what is visibly a very, very polarized politics. Tuhin Sinha.
Our stand has been very clear. We are open and we will discuss each and everything. But it is the prerogative of the government to set the agenda. When they wanted to discuss Manipur, we were open to it. They wanted to discuss it under a specific rule whereby all other business of the House would have come to a standstill. Now, when we discussed it for two full days, Home Minister spoke for a good 2.5 hours. They obviously, at the end of it, they don't have anything to say. The same happened during Operation Sindoor. They insisted on a particular day. When we had the discussion, by the end of it, Rahul Gandhi's anti-India, propaganda got exposed. My point is, we are ready for discussion on everything. There is a day for electoral reforms, which is next Tuesday. One day, obviously, we are discussing our cultural legacy, wherein Vande Mataram would be debated, which I'm sure the Congress party would not be happy with. I'm assuring you, we are ready to discuss each and everything. But these bills, these 13 bills are equally important. The repeated disruptive attitude of the Congress party, coupled with its all kind of canine antics or whatever they're now indulging it, is not healthy for the democracy.
Okay, respond to that, Salman Soz. That was completely avoidable. Perhaps it could have been handled differently.
Well, first of all, when a BJP spokesperson says that the leader of the Indian opposition is anti-national on national television, it just tells you what kind of propaganda. It just tells you what kind of mentality the BJP
was anti-Indian.
Well, it just tells you what kind of mentality the BJP and the RSS have inculcated in their members. I think that just shows you. The other thing is that, I think Tuhin Sinha talked about, a lot of different things, basically insulting parliamentarians, etc., etc. I think the BJP should not insult the intelligence of the Indian people. If the BJP was serious about discussing those issues, including, by the way, the poor quality air that is choking the lungs of our children in the city where the Prime Minister lives, they would kind of say, if Mrs. Renuka Chowdhury brought in a stray dog because of the goodness of her heart, maybe we should not make such a big deal about it, because there are so many vital issues in front of the country. But that is not the BJP. That is not their interest. Their interest is not in doing that. Their interest is in figuring out how to keep the people of India distracted so that they can help their crony capitalist friends make as much money as possible, which they can then get back from them through kickbacks. That's the story. This is as simple as it gets. I don't understand what is so complicated about this. So, I'm sorry.
Marya, I don't understand.
I don't think you should interrupt, because I did not interrupt.
You asked me a question.
If it helps the people in Parliament who somehow don't want any stray dogs near them, even though they don't care about stray dogs who actually may end up hurting the common citizens, I apologize to you. I apologize to you for the goodness of Renuka Chowdhury's heart. I apologize to you. If that satiates,
can I come in now, Marya?
Happy, because the people of this country want the BJP to focus on the things that are important.
Okay, Tuhin, quickly, 30 seconds.
That 90 rupee barrier
30 seconds.
against the dollar.
I don't understand.
Marya,
I really don't understand. I don't understand why an intelligent man like Salman Soz is really trivializing this debate. We have no objections to the dog being brought. It is she who's dramatizing situations with her, all kinds of weird sounds. She's insulting her own party members who want to attend parliament by saying that those who are inside are the ones who bite. If you don't have self-dignity, at least your Congress party MPs who have self-dignity will not tolerate this language. And yes, we want to proceed ahead, so please stop defending her. Call her out. Tell her that this is not the way to behave in parliament, and let's get down to business. I don't understand the need for you to defend all of these things and to trivialize the whole thing by saying, that we are disrupting parliament because of it. Of course, and today the AI video that your spokesperson Ragini Naik brings out, what kind of mentality are you trying to project? Do you have a problem with self-made individuals who don't come from a political dynasty, who come up the hard way to become prime minister? And Ragini Naik, every time she posts such crap, she gets promoted with some responsibility or the other. She had a good responsibility in Bihar elections after posting all of these for the last 1 month. What culture are you promoting in this country? I think the Congress needs to introspect.
What good responsibility? Tuhin Sinha, we have seen how the entire opposition was decimated in Bihar elections. And the fact is that they did not put up a good fight. That's also a truth. As someone who was covering the elections, we saw how it was playing out between the Congress and the RJD. Go ahead, Salman, quickly, 30 seconds, and then the last word to Neerja Chowdhury.
I think this kind of outrage that the BJP expresses, it's basically nothing but drama. This is nothing but drama. I again ask you, have you had a very serious discussion about air pollution, or did your party, your four-engine sarkar in Delhi, from Prime Minister to Chief Minister to Lieutenant Governor to the MCD, did you manipulate data on air quality in Delhi? Would you have a discussion in Parliament about how your government manipulated air quality monitors in Delhi? Will you have a discussion about that? Why won't you have a discussion about that? Why are you not outraged about that?
Okay.
Why are you not outraged about the air that is killing our children?
Absolutely. The concern about the air pollution is something that should concern all politicians across party lines, because Delhi right now is a gas chamber. It's unbreathable how sickening it is. Go ahead, Neerja Chowdhury, you get the last word on the show tonight. Please go ahead.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I would put the Delhi air on top of the list of what Parliament should discuss. You are cutting short the lives of our children and nothing has been done year after year. So this, I would say, certainly is priority. I would just sum up, Marya, in one line. Please, we address each other as GG, even if people are younger. But let us restore courtesy in our public discourse.
Okay. I think that's the right way to end this discussion, because there has to be courtesy, there has to be decorum in parliamentary proceedings and parliamentary practices as well. That's all from me on this edition. Neerja Chowdhury, Tuhin Sinha, Salman Soz, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for watching NewsTrack. I'll be joining you shortly with updates on the upcoming visit. In 24 hours, India will be rolling out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin.
India Today, making sense of India. Subscribe now. Log on to subscriptions.intoday.in. Now available for speed delivery on Amazon and Blinkit.
Hi, Sana here with a quick AQI update. Delhi 427, Mumbai 171, Kolkata 218, Bangalore 141, Chennai 90, Hyderabad 166.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Dr. Lakshmi Bai, a renowned gynecologist from Behrampur, will celebrate her 100th birthday on Friday. The doctor, who served society for several decades, now wants to help women cancer patients. Dr. Lakshmi Bai is donating her life savings, 3 crore and 40 lakh rupees, to AIIMS Bhubaneswar.
Always I think of God, so I want to do something for that. So for in Orissa, we don't have the treatment for cancer, so that's why I gave that money.
The trailblazer in her field, Dr. Lakshmi Bai belonged to the first MBBS batch at the SCB Medical College in Cuttack. She completed her MD in obstetrics and gynecology from Madras Medical College in 1958. Dr. Lakshmi Bai retired from the government service in 1986. With Ajay Nath, Bureau Report, India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Watching a special broadcast on the Modi-Putin meet. In less than 22 hours, India will roll out the red carpet for its key partner and dost, Russian President Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin will arrive in New Delhi with a sizable delegation, and the agenda is both wide-ranging and significant. From defense cooperation, trade to artificial intelligence and emerging technologies. This will be Vladimir Putin's first visit to India since the Russia-Ukraine war began, and the handshake and the hug will add weight to every headline. Well, the timing is also crucial, and as we speak, India is navigating new pressures after the United States imposed a 50% tariff on imports of Russian oil, a move with major economic and geopolitical implications. And all of this follows the SCO summit in Tianjin, where leaders of India, China and Russia came together amidst a landscape of sanctions, shifting alliances, and escalating trade tensions. So, how should this visit be seen? Let me go straight to Pranay, who's joining me live. Pranay, for the world, for Beijing, for Washington, D.C., for India and the entire region, this is going to be a visit full of optics and several important decisions as well. What is it that the countries are waiting and watching out for?
Marya, definitely a very significant and a very important visit this is going to be, because for Russia it is going to be a statement of having choices, a statement of having time-tested friendship, and even for India this is a statement of strategic autonomy, the autonomy and independence of foreign policy, because despite of international pressure, or maybe like the Western pressure, the American pressure, the sanctions on Russian companies, additional penal tariffs on India on account of Russian oil purchase, but still India is going ahead and making a statement that we don't care as far as these external pressures are concerned. For us, for India, the relationship with Russia, relationship with any other country is irrespective of any third country or their calculations, and this is the strategic, or this is the foreign policy autonomy India always want to exercise. But besides that, you mentioned about certain areas, certain fields. Definitely this visit is going to be very important in terms of diversifying India-Russia ties. We have seen that how the defense partnership has always been a strong pillar of India-Russia relationship. But now both countries have decided to take it forward, take it ahead of the traditional areas of defense or nuclear technology or oil and gas trade. But now the new frontiers will be explored, and this relationship, this 23rd summit between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Vladimir Putin is going to decide that how India and Russia are going to take this relationship forward for next decade in terms of migration and labor and mobility agreement. This is going to be a very significant thing, because this will open doors of Russia and in terms of opportunity for Indian talent, Indian labor. Because you know that India has become a major human resource exporter for the world, and now we have forged many agreements, migration and mobility agreement with many countries. And Russia is also likely to join the league. Besides that, agriculture, health, media, culture exchanges. There are many things, many unexplored frontiers and areas where India and Russia will be cementing their ties. But not only these new areas will be explored, but the traditional areas will be cemented, like the defense. Definitely it will be discussed. Russia has already offered, you know, that Su-57, the joint production, the transfer of technology, the new S-500 missile, the additional supply of the S-400 missiles, and many more things are there, including the small and modular reactor. This is going to be a very game changer, a new thing, because if Russia gives India technology regarding the small and modular reactor, you know that recently Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced that India is ready to open its nuclear sector for the private players.
Yes, I'm coming to you, Pranay, because I want details, because you have details of the delegation which is accompanying Vladimir Putin. But first, with global attention which is fixed on this upcoming meeting between Prime Minister Modi and Vladimir Putin, Russia's State Duma has approved the Relos Defense Pact ahead of the visit. The agreement will grant India and Russia reciprocal access to each other's ports, airspace and military logistics, marking a significant step forward in bilateral defense cooperation. Here's a detailed report.
A big defense shake-up just hours before Vladimir Putin lands in Delhi. In a major pre-visit surprise, Russia's lower house, the State Duma, has ratified the reciprocal exchange of logistics support, aka the Relos Pact, giving a fresh push to the India-Russia defense partnership. Relos allows the mutual use of airspace and ports by Indian and Russian warships and aircraft, and sets rules for logistics. Relos is used during joint military exercises and humanitarian missions, disaster relief operations, and other coordinated deployments. And just hours before the ratification, President Vladimir Putin underscored the importance of India in Moscow's global strategy.
Действовать на внешнем контуре, исходя из собственных национальных интересов.
We will fulfill our obligations to foreign partners and expand cooperation with those countries that are interested in it. As I have already said, the vast majority of countries act rationally and pragmatically. Over the past 3 years, we have significantly increased our trade volume with them. First and foremost, I mean our key partners, China and India, with whom we share many years of friendship and strategic cooperation.
Имею в виду ключевых партнеров – Китай, Индию.
Ahead of the visit, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov also hinted at big defense conversations, including renewed discussions around the Su-57 next-generation fighter, joint aerospace projects.
So, Su-57s, best plane in the world. Yes, it's not over-exaggeration. It's the best plane in the world. And the issue of Su-57s certainly will be on the agenda during the coming visit. So let's not speak about the details. There are lots of competitors in the world, and some of the competitors are not, let's say, sticking their business to international law.
And this is where the timing matters. Putin's trip comes as India-US ties face their worst turbulence in nearly 20 years, with Washington slapping 50% tariffs on Indian goods, including 25% punitive levies on India's Russian oil imports. It also comes as Russia and the US negotiate the revised Trump-framed 19-point peace plan for Ukraine, putting New Delhi right in the middle of a shifting global triangle: Washington, Moscow, and New Delhi. A surprise ratification in Moscow, strong words from the Kremlin, and a hardening US line, all setting the stage for one of the most keenly watched India-Russia summits in years. Bureau Report, India Today.
A quick word now from you, Pranay. All eyes will be on the Defence Pact because India is the biggest buyer of Russian defense equipments. The question now is, when we look at this delegation, you know, we often talk about the member delegation. When the UK Premier visited India, when Starmer was in India, he had perhaps the biggest ever delegation that he has ever travelled with. So give us a sense of this delegation accompanying the president.
Perhaps we might not see the kind of visuals we saw during Prime Minister Starmer's visit with a large delegation posing along with the aircraft, but definitely President Vladimir Putin is coming to India with a large cabinet delegation. His 7 ministers will be traveling with him, along with including the Defense Minister of Russia, Mr. Belousov, the Finance Minister Selunov, and many other ministers, including the Transport Minister Nikitin, is also traveling to India. So 7 ministers. And besides that, a large business delegation is also traveling with President Vladimir Putin. And in fact, both Prime Minister Modi and President Vladimir Putin are expected to address a large India-Russia business forum. And you know why there is a high focus on this business and a trade area? Because we know that India and Russia shared a long-standing, time-tested strategic partnership, but the trade has always been a troubled area. And on account of the oil trade and energy trade, we have managed to raise the figure of bilateral trade by $68 billion, but the target is to take the bilateral trade to $100 billion by 2030. And recently, when India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar was in Moscow, he addressed the business community of Russia, and he said that we want more business ties, more trade, more collaboration between Indian and Russian companies, more market access for Indian companies and Indian products. So definitely, India would like to explore the Russian market in terms of the commodity, in terms of products. More so, there could be a market for Indian agriculture products as well. In terms of the marine products, the shrimp export is also going to be an important area. Pharma, health collaboration is going to be an important area. Besides that, the students, Indian students are going to Russia in large numbers. For that, if the Indian talent can be retained in Russia, if the things can be worked out in terms of the migration and mobility agreement, those things will be discussed and decided during President President Putin's visit in India, and around 5-6 major MOUs will be signed during this summit between Prime Minister Modi and President Putin.
All right, Pranay, thank you for joining us. Defense is at the top of the agenda with discussions expected on S-500 deal and advanced systems like Su-57 jets and R-37 missiles. This follows the S-400 Shield's crucial role during Operation Sindoor. Beyond defense, energy and trade ties will also be on the table. Global watchers from Washington to Beijing are closely monitoring this high-stakes Modi-Putin meet as it could redefine India-Russia defense and strategic partnerships. Let's take a look at this report.
इस वर्ष दिसंबर में हमारी 23वीं समिट के लिए 140 करोड़ भारतीय उत्सुकतापूर्वक आपका इंतजार कर रहे हैं.
All eyes are on Russian President Vladimir Putin, India's all-weather friend, who is just hours away from his two-day visit to India on December 4th and 5th. This meet comes 3 months after Modi and Putin held bilateral on the sidelines of SCO in China's Tianjin.
इस वर्ष दिसंबर में हमारी 23वीं समिट के लिए 140 करोड़ भारतीय उत्सुकतापूर्वक आपका इंतजार कर रहे हैं.
У нас такие отношения, что я считал, что вы и так все понимаете.
हमारे इतने रिश्ते हैं कि मुझे ऐसा लगा कि आपको कोई अनुवाद नहीं चाहिए.
Lingering US trade tensions and Russia's war with Ukraine have delayed deals like the Indo-US Pact. But Putin's visit can be a game changer. Over 2 days, the leaders will discuss a wide-ranging agenda: defense, nuclear energy, oil, technology and trade. Defense remains a major pillar. High-end systems like the S-500 air defense platform are expected on the table, reinforcing Russia's role as India's primary partner in missile defense architecture. Even as India diversifies its defense suppliers, Russia's S-400 systems proved vital during Operation Sindoor, spectacularly neutralizing Pakistan's China and Turkey-made missiles. Bilateral trade hit a record $68.7 billion in last financial year, with India exporting machinery, textiles, chemicals and more, while imports from Russia remain dominated by crude oil, fertilizers, metals and machinery. From missile defense to energy security and billions in trade, Modi's dost Vladimir Putin's India visit is more than ceremonial. It is strategic. All eyes in global strategic sphere, especially in Trump's America, is fixated on this trip. With Shivani Sharma and Sandeep Unithan, Bureau Report, India Today.
The India-Russia relation has always been a balanced one. While Russia has supplied arms to India for decades, New Delhi emerged as its top buyer of seaborne oil, despite Western sanctions after Moscow launched its invasion of Ukraine in February of 2022. Volume of its trade has grown steadily, drawing flack from the Western lobby led by Trump's America. But India has stood firm on its ground, that its India first interest is priority. Here's that report.
India's crude oil imports from Russia are expected to have risen slightly in October 2025 from the previous month. Preliminary ship tracking data from Kepler and OilX show India defying pressure from Washington to cut purchases continues to import oil from Russia. India's Russian oil imports rose to about 1.48 million barrels per day or BPD in October from 1.44 million BPD in September, Kepler data showed. whereas OILX pegged October imports at the same level and said September imports were 1.43 million BPD. OILX data excluded oil from Kazakhstan that was also exported from Russia. But this is about to decrease. Trade and refining sources claim that India's Russian oil imports are set to hit their lowest in at least 3 years in December 2025. That would be a down from multi-months high in November as refiners turn to alternatives to avoid breaching Western sanctions. The Russian president and the Indian Prime Minister will work together to salvage the situation. Russia invaded Ukraine in February of 2022, and the world, or rather America and its allies in Europe, were united in cornering Russia. Other than the economic sanctions, that was very little the West could do to push Vladimir Putin to back down, because Putin had the key power to maneuver energy. Little by little, the West and European Union in particular tried to wean themselves off Russian energy, causing Russian ruble to lose its shine. Vladimir Putin turned to his old friends, China and India. Despite severe criticism, India bought more than twice as much crude oil from Russia in the 2 months since its invasion of Ukraine as it did in the whole of 2021. Indian Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar time and again defended India's decision, sometimes even went into offensive batting as well.
What looks almost like a campaign on this issue. Now, I was just reading a report today that in the month of March, Europe has bought, I think, 15% more oil and gas from Russia than it did the month before. Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems, but the world's problems are not Europe's problems.
India bought crude oil worth $25.5 billion from Russia in 2022. It nearly doubled to $48.6 billion in 2023 and rose to $52.7 billion in 2024. Donald Trump came back to the Oval Office in January 2025, and from the very beginning, he started to use tariffs as punitive measures. India has been slapped by the USA with an additional 25% tariff for buying crude oil from Russia.
Atma Vishwas, or self-confidence. As the most populous nation, as a civilizational state, as a rapidly growing major economy, we are confident about who we are and what we will be. Bharat will always maintain its freedom of choice and will always be a voice of the Global South.
Russia faces a tough challenge under the circumstances, and India is in a tight spot. Bureau Report, India Today.
And here comes the glimpse of biggest world exclusive. Vladimir Putin speaking to India Today's Anjana Om Kashyap and Geeta Mohan. Those are the visuals coming in. That interview has begun. India Today is the only Indian TV network to interview President Putin as he arrives in India in the next 22 hours. That's a crucial world exclusive. The world is watching India Today. This is the glimpse of the biggest world exclusive, Vladimir Putin on India Today. This is his first interview to an Indian TV network. Vladimir Putin is speaking to Geeta Mohan and Anjana Om Kashyap. That interview is happening in Kremlin, right there, the man of the moment, Vladimir Putin. A word from you, Pranay. This is certainly a big one that India Today has managed. Just look at Geeta and Anjana, who have started this interview. The significance of this hall, Pranay, where this interview is happening.
This is the Catherine Hall of Kremlin, Marya. this is the same hall where President President Vladimir Putin holds his National Security Council meeting, his cabinet meeting. So this is a very important place where he is giving this interview to India Today in Aaj Tak. And this interview is going to be a global exclusive because this is his first interview where we could hear what his reaction about his meeting with Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and his meeting with the US envoy. So what are his thoughts about Russia-Ukraine conflict, the peace plan, his India visit, his views about the global order? So many questions are there. I'm sure Geeta and Anjana are like they have a lot of questions to ask to Vladimir Putin. And before his India visit, this is going to be a very historic and an important India visit. And we are likely to hear from him, the man himself, that what he thinks. And he would be visiting India after gap of 4 years, because he last visited in 2021, December 2021, and he would be visiting now on 4th and 5th of December. And before this visit, he chose to speak to India Today in Aaj Tak on this issue, and it is going to be very important globally, because the world would be watching this interview, Marya, because what he thinks, what he speaks, and what are his thoughts about the peace plan, when there could be a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, and will he agree to the conditions laid by the 19-point program or 19-point peace plan proposed by President Donald Trump?
Yes, and Pranay, Vladimir Putin doesn't give interviews. I have not seen any Indian network speak to President Putin speak to any of the Indian networks perhaps in 2 decades. This is going to be the biggest exclusive that any Indian news network can get.
Of course, Marya, speaking to President Vladimir Putin itself is a very difficult thing, reaching out to him because he has its own protocol. Kremlin maintains a very strict protocol in his access to and speaking to President Vladimir Putin. Besides that, him speaking to any Indian TV network, perhaps you rightly pointed it out that this is, probably in last 2 decades, this is for the first TV interview he is giving to any network for that matter. And what an opportune time, what a significant time, because, unlike his previous interviews, this is very important because this is happening at a time when the world is talking about the peace plan, the Russia-Ukraine plan. President Donald Trump sent his special envoy to speak to him, and only, after 24 hours, he would be speaking to India Today, and he would be giving out his thought and his what he thinks about this entire special military operation. What are the conditions laid by Russia? What are the things or what are the condition on which he could agree on the cessation of this war or a peace plan he could agree, and what are the things he want to be delivered ahead of a peace, because this is not going to be only significant in terms of the India-Russia relation, but this is globally important because Europe would be watching, US would be watching, and many other capitals would be watching this interview of President Vladimir Putin on India Today.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it can't get bigger than this. Vladimir Putin on the entire TV Today network, the first Indian network that he is speaking to, and the significance and the timing, in exactly 24 hours, President Putin will be in India. And he has spoken to India Today and Aaj Tak's Anjana Om Kashyap and Geeta Mohan in what is perhaps the biggest world exclusive. All eyes are on Moscow, and which will shift to New Delhi in the next 24 hours, Pranay, as Prime Minister Modi and Vladimir Putin will be engaging in New Delhi. Beijing will be watching this. The entire European Union will be watching this. So will be Washington, D.C. as to how are they getting the optics right. But, to get an exclusive of this nature, it's any journalist's dream, I would say, Pranay.
Indeed, this is you can say that very few moments in any journalist life are there of this kind, because hardly you get to meet the world leaders face to face, get a sit down interview, and that to be of the stature of President Vladimir Putin or the global power leaders. These are the people, these are the leaders who decide the geopolitics. And more so, there is a distinction of President Vladimir Putin, because look, he is heading the Russian government for last 25 years. And that is the significance, and that is the powerhouse called Vladimir Putin. And that's why if you get a chance to sit across him, ask him questions about the future of India-Russia relation, about the future of the geopolitics, how he envisaged the global order, and why, and what are the conditions, what are the things which he expects, what is going on in his mind. So this is a chance for any journalist to get a peek view of a leader's mind, because President Vladimir Putin is not very frequent in giving interviews. You know it very well, and he's very careful in choosing the networks he speaks to. So definitely this is a significant choice. He's speaking to India Today and NTV Today network, and more so, he would be speaking at a time when it is a very crucial geopolitical time in terms of the Russia-Ukraine war, in terms of the global order, in terms of what's happening in South Asia. What's happening in Afghanistan, what is happening in Pakistan, what is happening in South Asia, what will be happening in the Indo-Pacific region. Because ahead of his visit, the lower house of Russia, the Duma of Russia, has already cleared the RELOS, the reciprocal exchange and logistic support agreement. Then this, by virtue of this RELOS agreement, Marya, Russia would get entry in Indo-Pacific region, Indian Ocean region, and this is going to be a very significant development in terms of the geopolitics of Indo-Pacific region. And by virtue of this agreement, India will also get access to many Russian naval bases and air bases. More so, India and Russia are going to take forward their relationship in terms of the India getting access to Arctic region, the critical minerals, the joint fund for the artificial intelligence, labor, migration and mobility agreement, agriculture, health. There are many areas on which India and Russia can cooperate and are cooperating. Besides that, there are some traditional areas, strong pillars of India-Russia relationship. I'm sure there will be a lot of questions about the Su-57, the modernization, the defense deals between India and Russia, the nuclear cooperation. India is expecting another nuclear submarine leased by Russia, the third nuclear submarine. Besides that, the small and medium nuclear reactor are also being offered from Russia. Besides that, Russia has already made an offer regarding the joint production and technology transfer for the Su-57, which Russian, President Vladimir Putin's press advisor, Peskov, Dmitry Peskov has while interacting with us, he said that this is the best aircraft we have on the planet, and we are ready to offer, and we are ready to take forward this relation with India as far as India is willing to take it to. And besides that, energy cooperation, and definitely, this would be our chance, who have been reporting on President Donald Trump, his penal tariffs on account of India's oil purchase of Russia. So this will be our chance to ask President Vladimir Putin that what he thinks. This will be his first interview after the United States has sanctioned two of the Russian oil majors, Rosneft and Lukoil, to which India is facing pressure in terms of the US sanctions, in terms of our energy purchase and oil purchase from Russia. So there are many things to ask to Russian President Vladimir Putin, and many things to look forward to as far as this visit of President Putin to India is concerned.
Yes, and this interview, Pranay, is coming 24 hours after that crucial meeting which happened at Kremlin, which lasted for 5 hours between President Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump's top envoys, in which a clear message was sent by the Russian president to the Americans.
Absolutely, Marya. There has been a lot of back and forth since 15th of August 2025, when President Vladimir Putin went to Alaska to have a meeting with US President Donald Trump, and thereafter US side has proposed a 28-point peace plan on that 28-point peace plan. There has been many negotiations, many back channels are still going on. And 24 hours after his meeting with Steve Witkoff, Special Envoy for President Donald Trump, and also his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, was also there in Kremlin to have a meeting with President Vladimir Putin. And after that meeting, he would be talking to India Today. So this will be our chance to ask him, to hear from him directly, that what he thinks about what is being offered to him by the United States and the other countries. Will he be going to sign a peace deal with Ukraine? What will be the future of the security guarantee? Because you know that that was the condition laid by the Russian side, by the Russian government, that no expansion of NATO, eastward expansion of NATO should be there, or it should be enshrined in the constitution of NATO, that they won't be moving eastward towards Russia. And that is the security guarantee Russia is looking at. Also, what he thinks about Europe and the stand taken by Europe, the security guarantees, what is he going to how and in which form he would want to be part of the negotiation and to ensure the security guarantee for Ukraine. So there are many things which are going on as far as the peace deal with Ukraine is concerned. And President Vladimir Putin is sitting across our two colleagues, and he would be answering many questions on these things as well.
Absolutely. I mean, this comes 24 hours after Vladimir Putin signaling that he does not want a deal. And the sweetness of being begged to entertain one is something that Russian president relishes, one would say. So that interview is happening even as we speak in Moscow. Vladimir Putin is speaking to Geeta Mohan and Anjana Om Kashyap.
It doesn't get more exciting than this. We're in Moscow at the Red Square, right in front of Kremlin.
And it doesn't get bigger than this. We have the biggest voice, and when you do a story, you own it.
And absolutely, as we own it, you will witness a historic moment, the biggest interview, the biggest global